Shalom, shalom. Sefer Dvarim is one long speech that Moshe gives to Bnei Israel before he dies. That speech is being divided into 4 parts. Part number 1, Moshe reminds Bnei Israel all the special events that happened throughout the years that they walked through the desert. He wants them to recognize their mistakes and learn from them. Then comes part number 2, which is the mitzvot and the chukim, with some adjustment to how they should fulfill those mitzvot in Eretz Israel. Part number 3, as we discussed before, is a special brit that Moshe creates between Am Israel to Hashem. After Ma'amad Har Sinai, which represent the first brit, Bnei Israel sinned with the golden calf. And now Moshe feels that before he dies, he wants to do another brit between Am Israel to Hashem. And in this week's Parsha, Prashat Vayelch, so that is the beginning of the last part. This is a farewell. That's it. It's Moshe's last day. How do we know? The Parsha starts with the words, וילך משה וידבר את הדברים האלה אל כל בני ישראל. ויאמר עליהם בן 120 אנוכי היום. And the Gemara says, היום, ביום זה נולדתי, וביום זה אמות. Moshe knows this is his last day. And what does he do on his last day? Vayelch Moshe. The Mefarshim says that Moshe walks from one shevet to another to give them his last word and to encourage them. In our parsha, we'll see the words chizku veimtzu. Just a chizuk words. That's it. He's done. When he's done giving the chizuk for the shvatim, he calls Yehoshua and he tells him, Chazak ve'ematz, because he knows that it will be hard for him to lead Bnei Israel in Eretz Israel. So that is his last words. And after Moshe finished up writing and saying his last words, he takes the Sefer Torah that he wrote and he gives the Sefer Torah to the Kohanim Bnei Shevet HaLevi, which is his Shevet, but also those are the teachers of Am Israel. And he gives the Kohanim Bnei Shevet HaLevi a special instruction. He says, ויצב משה אותם לאמור, מקץ 7 שנים במועד שנת השמיטה בחג הסוכות. He says, don't read my Torah now. Read it in 7 years on Chag HaSukkot. And then, not only that you won't read the Torah now, you will read and you will learn the Torah after you will gather everyone from Am Israel. בבוא כל ישראל לראות את פני השם אלוקיך במקום אשר יבחר, תקרא את התורה הזאת נגד כל ישראל באוזניהם. הקהל את העם, האנשים והנשים והטף וגרך אשר בשעריך, למען ישמעו ולמען ילמדו. And obviously, there are so many questions. Question number 1. Why do we need to wait 7 years in order to hear and to learn the last words of Moshe Rabbeinu? It's so important. He's mentioning so many mitzvot, so many events that it's important for us to remember every single day. Why to wait 7 years? Question number 2. Why Chag HaSukkot? I can think about many more other Chagim that is more mat'im to read the Torah. For example, Rosh Hashanah that we just celebrated, Yom Kippur, we're standing in front of Hashem making tshuva. What a better time we have to remind ourselves our mistakes and learn from them, or also to learn about the mitzvot. Why do we need to wait 7 years and dafka on Chag HaSukkot to learn Mishneh Torah? And last question, Chag Sukkot is Chag that is very family oriented. Every family sits down in their sukkah. But Moshe doesn't want them to sit in their sukkah in a way. He wants to gather them. He wants his Torah to be taught in front of everyone. הקהל את העם, האנשים והנשים, והטף וגרך אשר בשעריך. Everyone needs to come. And to answer those questions, I had to go to a few places. To question number 1, why do we need to wait 7 years? The Gemara answers beautiful. Moshe knows that once Yehoshua ben Nun with Bnei Israel will cross the Yarden, a period of 7 years will start when Am Israel will fight for the land of Eretz Israel. And Moshe Rabbeinu knows that the next 7 years Israel will be busy with conquering Eretz Israel. And therefore, he knew, don't do it now. He tells them, wait 7 years until you will finish. Then read the Torah. But the second question is, why Davka on Chag HaSukkot? And to that, the Kli Yakar says something unbelievable. He says that between Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, there are 10 days, the only 10 days that Hashem accepts Tshuvat HaYachid. Single people, private people can make tshuva only during those 10 days. And after those 10 days, it's only tshuvat harabim. In his words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mekabel et tshuvat hayachid on those 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, אבל בכל ימות השנה אין HaKadosh Baruch Hu mekabel כי אם את תשובת הרבים. And how do we know that it's true? How do we know that Hashem accepts תשובת היחיד during those 10 days? We say it during סליחות. We say אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מתנהג בחסידות, מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון. One by one, Hashem forgives בני ישראל. So, Am Israel is busy. They won't sin though during those days. They're busy making tshuva, single tshuva, and also tshuvat harabim. But what happens after Yom Kippur? Well, it says the Kli Yakar, after Yom Kippur until Sukkot, there are only a few days. But on those days, Am Israel is too busy. Busy building the sukkah, doing other mitzvot like Arbaat Aminim. Everybody are busy buying a special Arbaat Aminim to find the perfect etrog, to find the perfect lulav. So they're busy. And then he says, mitzvah goreret mitzvah. Once you start with one mitzvah, you will make more mitzvah. Mitzvah goreret mitzvah. And then Kli Yakar says something unbelievable. He says that the first day, לחשבון עונות, הוא יום ראשון של סוכות. The first day of Sukkot, this is the day that we're kind of having a break. We're relaxing in the sukkah, but it's also a little bit dangerous because it's the first day that we may sin. And dafka on that day, that is Rishon lecheshbon avonot, that is the time to remind ourselves all those mitzvot, all those events, and to remind ourselves the speech that Moshe gives to Bnei Israel. But we didn't answer the last question yet. So now we know. We know why to wait 7 years. We know why Moshe Rabbeinu chose Dafka Chag HaSukkot. But why Vayelch? Why do we need to gather everyone together in order to hear the last speech of Moshe? And on that question, the Kli Yakar answers something beautiful. He says, well, on Chag HaSukkot, we got a mitzvah to take Arbaat Aminim, but the real mitzvah is to hold them together be'aguda achat. That is the mitzvah. Why be'aguda achat? A Kli Yakar and also the Gemara gives a beautiful, beautiful agada, and it says, each one of those Arbaat Aminim represent a group in Am Israel. Etrog, Lulav, Hadas, Arava, each one of them represent a different section in Am Israel. But you have to hold them together. If I'll use the words of Chazal, שכל הארבעה צריכים להילקח באגודה אחת. Why? Because when you take them together, there is unity. There is a special strength that they get, and it's only happen when you will take them together in one hand. And then the Kli Yakar finish up and says, when all Bnei Israel, despite all those differences, when they're united, that's when no one can harm them. And he ends up with a beautiful pasuk from Mishlei, ולא יעונה לצדיק כל אבן. Nothing will happen. I can't move on without telling one story that it's reminded me, and that is מלחמת יום העצמאות, the Independence Day of Israel. The Independence War started in 1947, when Arabic attacked Israeli citizens, and then back then we had different militant groups that tried to fight back. One of them, and maybe the biggest one and the oldest one, was the Haganah, which the Palmach was a part of it. Then we have Ha'etzel, that was later on, and Halechi, which was the youngest militant group that was created before the establishment of Medinat Israel. Why do we have so many? That's the first question I had. And there were differences. Each one of those militant group had a different belief. They have different beliefs. The Haganah didn't want to fight the British mandate unless it was necessary. Ha'etzel says, no, we have to be more creative, maybe more radical. So they had their own differences. And because of that, in 1947, each one of those organizations fought by itself in the Arabic. But in 1948, a day after Israel was established, 5 nations, as we know, came to fight Am Israel. And that point, there was a need for all those groups to gather together, to reunite it, in order to fight back. And Ben Gurion, in that time, was running from one group to another to convince them to team up and to create the army that we have today. When they sat down together, they only sat together 2 weeks after the establishment of Medinat Israel, May 26, 1948. That was the time that they realized that there was one thing that they can agree on. And that is that all those groups share the same belief that there is a need to protect Am Israel and Eretz Israel. And based on that shared common belief, they created the IDF, which is Tzva Haganah LeIsrael. And that's why, that's when we're united, when we have our special unity between us despite our differences, that's when we fight. And oh boy, how many miracles we know that happened during that war, and how proud we are to say out loud that we won. But it's only because we put aside all our differences and we were able to work together. Shabbat Shalom.